The question was how will I know when I'm in labor, the best time if I want to have an epidural, what's the best time for that?
Right, and I think that's a really common worry, and I always frame it as nobody knows what your labor is going to be like. Mm-hmm. My joke is that if I could know, I wouldn't be doing this. I would have long figured out what the lottery numbers were, and I'd be a millionaire by now.
Right.
Yeah, just nobody can tell. So that's a hard question to answer ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And just the way labors go, as they get more and more challenging towards transition, right before pushing, that's a very common time for women to ask for an epidural.
Yeah, because it hurts.
Yeah, transition sucks, but it's short, and that's a really funny thing about it, is the longest part is the easiest, and the most difficult part is the shortest. And nobody really wants an epidural just for pushing.
Right.
As intense as pushing is too. Mm-hmm. You don't really want an epidural for that. So my recommendation is to see what else you can do ahead of time.
Okay.
Using as many tools as you have. And that's really what I focus on in class, is not just about breathing. That's about learning how to move your body, work with your baby, listen to how, some things will feel better than others. Mm-hmm. And there's probably a reason for that. Mm-hmm. Massage, aromatherapy, mm-hmm. Lighting, music, mm-hmm. And just to support people with you. Mm-hmm. Who's with you makes a huge difference, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true of anything. Mm-hmm. But my concern, though, is on both sides of the spectrum, when either moms walk into a birth and say, my plan and my goal is to get an epidural, mm-hmm. because what happens if they don't? What happens if it goes too quickly, That probably leads to some trauma, right?
Well, or if the epidural doesn't work.
Right.
Because I've met with some moms where that's the case, where they really did want it and they asked for it early and then it didn't work.
Right. And when you are then they're totally unprepared.
Right.
Right. They haven't set up some of those other things that are so vital mm-hmm. to having, I don't want to say positive, but kind of a positive experience,
mm-hmm. Yeah. And certainly not traumatic. We want to avoid that.
We do. And what is it now? 25% of moms have traumatic births?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or perceived. And that's a whole separate video that we could definitely cover.
Yeah, that is a huge other issue, but I expectations and managing them appropriately. And then the other side of that, on the from the must-have drugs to will not have medication, I find that can sometimes be unrealistic too. Mm-hmm. Sometimes labors are crazy long. Mm-hmm. That's definitely outside of the range of normal.
Right.
But it does happen,
right.
And I worry about setting up that expectation on both ends and say, here's one tool that will help you avoid all pain medication, and here's one tool that will help you avoid all pain. Mm-hmm. That's both extremes, I think, are unrealistic.
So there's tools that will help you avoid all pain? Or are you talking specifically about epidurals?
I'm talking about
epidurals. Are you talking about other types of birthing classes?
Well, and that is the other side of this spectrum. Mm-hmm. Lamaze started in the 1950s as a way to avoid the very heavy pain medication that they were using then.
Okay.
And it's really evolved as birth has changed. Women no longer give birth in a big room with other women without any family members around. Mm-hmm. That was what was happening in the 50s. So mm-hmm. as, maternity care has changed, the laws has changed too. Mm-hmm. So even this year, we revised our mission statement to promoting safe and healthy birth. Mm-hmm. So that's not putting that ideal and that narrowness of you can only have this kind of birth as the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
It's understanding that there are ranges,
Mm-hmm.
and every mom and every baby are different,
Mm-hmm.
and just helping families learn how to navigate that.
Right, right.
A lot of the childbirth methods, and Lamaze isn't considered a method anymore, do still hold the ideal as natural.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I ask 5 people, what do you consider natural?
Right.
They all have different answers, right?
Yeah, but I still think most people assume natural means no medication.
Sometimes, one thing that I am learning, I'm seeing more often, is natural just means vaginal.
Oh,
Because people don't want to say vaginal.
okay. It's just a funny word.
Well, it's like we were talking before. I mean, I have a weird job. I talk about vaginas. I mean, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's no big deal, but to other people, it's very uncomfortable. So sometimes that's what they say, natural.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
But again, my worry is that expectation of using this childbirth method
Mm-hmm.
has a success rate. Because what's that other part?
Yeah, failure.
Well,
Well, that's what people perceive.
right. Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
right. And I always, it's like, long ago, I stopped using the word failure to progress.
Okay,
I hate the F word.
okay.
That's a lot to tell a mom that she failed.
Yeah. Yep. Or that her body didn't do what is natural.
Right.
Yeah.
And, sometimes it can be mom's body, or, sometimes babies have their own mind. Not sometimes, they always have their own mind.
That's all.
Yes. But, we don't give birth in a vacuum.
Mhm. And hopefully not with a vacuum.
And not with a vacuum. Instrumental deliveries, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But, and the trauma with that. But, we give birth in a framework
Mhm.
of a maternity care system that either will help us or make it more difficult
Mhm.
to have a baby.
Mhm.
So again, it's that support,
Mhm. Yeah.
And, for moms with VBACs especially, that is a great example of where they go can be the difference between
Right.
having a vaginal birth after a cesarean or needing a repeat cesarean
Yes.
section.
And not just where they go, but also how supportive their OB
Oh,
is, or
absolutely.
midwives, because that is a huge, having had a successful VBAC myself, I believe that obviously, yes, it mattered where I went, because you have to, at that point, I had to find a place that was supportive of VBACs. That's more common now, but then it was much more limited.
Right.
But it was definitely my OB's belief and confidence
Right.
that this was doable.
Right.
Whereas some OBs are more hesitant about
Some?
that. Many are much more hesitant, and
Right.
that's a mental. This is a whole nother topic to go
Right.
into. That's a mental.
But that points out, though, that, and we know this, and the studies are out there, that the biggest factor in a birth outcome is the philosophy of your care provider,
Mhm.
your doctor, or your midwife.
Right.
And that is true for everything.
Right.
And they, which hospital, birth center, whatever makes a big deal, but
Mhm.
also, but more importantly, it is, like you said, your care provider.
Right.
And
Yeah.
how they practice, and
Right.
their philosophy of using X or Y
Right.
or Z.
Including epidurals, which was our main, question at the
Right,
beginning.
right. And some care providers really want their moms to have epidurals.
Right.
I don't know if any of the hospitals here are using that, because once you have an epidural, you're on the monitor continuously.
Yep.
That then allows the OB or the family med doctor, I don't think midwives do this, to follow the monitor on their iPhone or cell phone, wherever they are,
Mhm.
which then allows them to be other places and still track moms.
Uh-huh.
Huh. But then, that just points to, again, some of the stuff is out of mom's hands.
Right. Right.
And it's unfair to say that they failed.
Mhm.
they were failed by their care provider, and I don't think that's fair. So, I guess my philosophy, to get back to the original question, with epidurals is there is no one right time, and it's really important to prepare for multiple possibilities by taking a comprehensive class.
Yep. And also really, one thing I work on, because I'm not a childbirth educator, is helping, just mentally helping pregnant women not get too locked into a potential birth plan. Talking with them about that it's okay to have a wish list. It's okay to have an epidural on your wish list, or to not want to have an epidural on your wish list.
Right.
However, just knowing that with anything else, having a baby is not like baking a cake. You don't put in 2 eggs and vanilla and, flour, and then out comes your perfect cake. Sometimes you have to adjust, or,
Absolutely.
just being open to that.
Right.
It may not go how you envision.
Right.
And again, that does not mean you failed.
Right, and I have long ago switched over to calling it birth preferences.
Okay.
So kind of what are your goals? And I also look at it as a way for a family to write down what their expectations are for how they want to be treated. So, and that's everything from the lighting to keeping the door shut.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes a big deal.
Yep.
But you can't be like, I'm going to have this happen and this happen and this happen.
Yes.
That's not ever realistic.
No, but a lot of people do it that way.
I
still.
know, I
And
know.
so that is where it's great to take classes,
Right.
To connect with other professionals who work in this area to
Right.
make sure that we are having a realistic setting so that you don't leave your birth feeling like you failed.
Right, and at the end of the day, childbirth education, and then if there are anxieties, previous traumas, other thing that needs to be addressed, that needs to be addressed before birth.
Yeah,
I know we both know
absolutely.
that, and I do refer when I know there's going to be potential issues. That's really important. And then also helping them understand and helping them find a place where they feel safe and comfortable, and that their choices and their preferences will be respected, because that's going to have the best potential for a positive outcome,
Yeah.
I think.
Good.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. This was
Helpful.
fun.
Yeah.
We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right.